Could you choose a favorite child? Because that's how I would feel if you asked me to choose between these two. Hi guys, my name is G.P.S. and welcome back to my channel. I recently did an unboxing of the newest addition to the Hermes CDC family, which is the CDC 24 bracelet. Now, in case you have never heard about the CDC, or also known as Collider De Chien collection from Hermes, it is probably one of the most iconic and extensive lineup that Hermes offers, which is a collection and a design that has been around since the mid-1900s. And it has sort of become a staple in Hermes's portfolio. And it's something that they keep going back to and reinterpreting and reimagining time and time again. And the most recent update and addition to the CDC lineup is the CDC 24 collection, which consists of a bracelet as well as a belt. So as you requested, today we'll be taking a deep dive into the world of CDC, and we'll look at the new CDC 24 and compare it to the original design. So if you want to hear about my thoughts, my preferences, as well as my styling tips, then please keep on watching. Let's quickly discuss the history and the background of the Collier De Chien, or also known as CDC design, which Collier De Chien actually means dog collar in French. And the name is derived from the fact that this design was actually originally created for dogs. Hermes used to create dog collars for their best clients. And the story goes that in 1927, an established Hermes client stopped by one of their stores because she was looking for a belt to accessorize her dresses. And she was really drawn to and inspired by the CDC design, which was obviously created for dogs. But she asked Hermes if they would be willing to create a belt using the features of the CDC, and Hermes said yes. It is, I think, one of the most iconic pieces of fashion jewelry in the luxury world, if not in general. I really cannot think of another piece that is as widely admired and loved and recognized as the CDC design. I think every single person who loves and appreciates luxury fashion owns this piece in some shape or form, or would like to own it down the line. And it has not only been obviously an incredible success for Hermes because of the belt, which was born in 1927 and then later on translated into a bracelet, I want to say around 1940 or 1950, but it has become a source of inspiration for so many things that Hermes does. I mean, the features as well as this entire design has become an essential part of Hermes's heritage, and it's kind of a reoccurring emblem that Hermes uses. They have these sort of motifs and designs that if you follow Hermes for a little while, you'll keep seeing over and over again, starting with the Chandon design, the Ex Libris, as well as the Medor and the CDC bracelets. And by the way, these little pyramids are called Medor, which we'll later on move on to. So if you have been following Hermes for a while, you will not be surprised to see this on pretty much everything that they do. This inspired homeware pieces, it's on ready-to-wear, it inspired an entire fine jewelry collection, which by the way is one of my favorite collections when it comes to fine jewelry from Hermes. And there are even bags based on this. So this is more than just a bracelet at this point. It's pretty much a staple and an essential in Hermes's heritage. But without further ado, I'm going to bring you guys closer up so we can have a better look at the CDC as well as the CDC 24 bracelets. So let's start with the original CDC bracelet, which if you pick up, it comes in a little pouch like this. There's obviously a box, but I actually have all the box for my fashion jewelry pieces in storage, so I don't have the box that it comes in with me. But it comes in a little box and it comes in this little pouch, which is actually different from the way the CDC 24 bracelet is packaged. But if you open it up, this is how the CDC bracelet comes. There's this little ring protector on here, because if you buy a CDC bracelet and you take this off, as you guys can see, this little ring kind of swings around and moves around as you wear it. And while you cannot see any kind of indentation on this one, it's because I still have the protective sticker on this years after I purchased this. If you look on another piece, so let's say I have my CDC belt here, this did not have the protector on it and there isn't a sticker on this anymore. So as you can see, there is a little bit of a mark here and there's another mark over here, which kind of looks like a smiley face again. I don't know why, but I guess Hermes pieces leave a smiley face mark behind. As you guys can see it here, as this moves around when you put this on your jeans or when you wear these around your wrists, as this little ring swings around, it leaves a mark here behind, which is not something that you can avoid, but I thought I would bring this to your attention. So that's the reason why when you buy a CDC piece, it will always come with the ring kind of separated from the rest of the piece. So in transit, it doesn't damage the hardware. So when you pick up a CDC bracelet, you always have this little piece on it to protect it and separate the ring from the hardware. But in case you want to protect your CDC bracelet for as long as possible and you want to avoid any kind of marking, you can actually leave the sticker on this piece. I wouldn't recommend that you leave the sticker anywhere else because it will show. But on this one, because the sticker is so flat, you're not really going to be able to see if the sticker is still on it. It will sort of have more of a matte finish compared to the rest of the piece, but I don't think it's that noticeable, especially when it's just on your wrist. But this is how I try to keep my CDC bracelets. And so this is what the CDC bracelet looks like. So there are two main features on the front of the bracelet, which are the 4 pyramids, which are called the Medor studs. And then there's also this additional little ring that moves around. And then if you turn the bracelet around, it comes with this sliding mechanism that keeps the bracelet on your wrist. And if you look on the inside, I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see this here, but there are 2 of these sort of sticky little pads on the inside, which makes sure that when you slide this piece on, it is very secure. And when you slide this off, you can see that there are 4 holes in the metal that allows you to adjust it. So if you buy it in a certain size, you still have the option to adjust it and make it a little bit smaller or a little bit larger depending on what you choose to wear this with. So there are 4 holes. I usually wear mine in the second hole or in the first one, but if you put it in the first one, you do have to be careful because this doesn't really hold the piece if you put this through the first one. So I would recommend that you choose a size that you're able to put it at least in the second or the third one. Obviously, if you put it in the third one, it's going to be a little bit more secure. And then all you need to do is slide this over this. And then you also have 4 of the Medor pyramids on here. Now, personally, this is my favorite characteristic of the CDC. More often, you'll see people wearing this on the outside. I tend to wear this on the outside and have this on the inside. First of all, because if I wear a longer sweater or a sweatshirt, I can cover this part up so you don't hear this sound every time you move around. And for some reason, I happen to like this part of the CDC bracelet more. So what's great about this is that you can choose to wear it on this side, or you can turn it around and you can wear the ring on the outside. It's completely up to you and you can customize that. There really isn't a right way of wearing this. And while we're on the topic of sizing and how you should be wearing this, the CDC bracelet comes in 3 different sizes. The current sizing goes from T1 to T3. And I will try to leave a little size chart on the screen here so you can measure your wrist and decide which size is the best for you in case you want to get it online, which I wouldn't recommend. I always recommend that you go into the store, have a look at it, and start building a relationship with the brand because that's what Hermes is all about. But in case you want to order a certain size into the store or ask your SA to put one on hold for you, it's good to have an understanding of your size, so I'll make sure to have that chart there. The T sizing is a relatively new system to Hermes. I think it was implemented about 3 years ago, and before then, I think it ran from small to large. I think it was small, standard, and then maybe large. Something like that. But I remember I always bought S, which stood for either small or standard. This was essentially the medium size. And I am in the current system a T2. So I'm the medium size in the CDC bracelets. And it's important to mention that I'm a T2 because I will be a different size in the CDC 24. So this is essentially the main characteristics of the CDC bracelet. It's metal matched with leather. And obviously there are quite a few fakes of this floating around out there. And I have actually been getting a lot of questions from you guys regarding authentication and if I can recommend an authenticator or someone that I worked with. And personally, I have never really ever bought anything secondhand. I'm trying to think if I ever bought anything, to be honest. I don't think I have, especially when it comes to Hermes. So I wish I could give you suggestions on who to use to authenticate pieces. but I really wouldn't feel comfortable giving you guys any one because I haven't had any personal experience with any authenticators. But if you pick up a CDC bracelet, it's quite easy to tell the real one from the fake one, because the fake ones tend to come with a snap closure, whereas the real ones tend to have this very interesting and definitely more intricate mechanism that allows you to keep it on your wrist. Whereas if you buy a fake one, they tend to come with a snap closure, which Hermes has done a snap closure before. If you look at the Shadow CDC bracelet, which was released during Jean-Paul Gaultier's design era at Hermes, they did use the snap closure on the CDC Shadow bracelets, but more often than not, I think pretty much the majority of the time you will see the sliding mechanism on an authentic Hermes CDC bracelet. So these are the main characteristics of the CDC bracelet. Now these are available in a bunch of different colors and leathers and 3 different hardware finishes. This one is yellow gold. We'll also look at rose gold in the CDC 24. And then I also have it with the palladium in matte alligator. So the CDC bracelets come in a bunch of different leathers. My favorite one is Epsom, but you can pick them up in Swift, in box. You can also pick them up in exotic pieces. And they start at about $1,000, just over $1,000 at this point. If I remember correctly, the exact price, the starting price for CDC in Epsom is $1,125. Make sure to double check, and if I give you guys the wrong price, I'll make sure to leave the correction on the screen here. But I do think that they are $1,125. That's the most up-to-date price, because I remember when I bought this was just under $1,000 or about $1,000. And these bracelets go up to just over $2,000 for the exotic pieces. So obviously the alligator pieces are the most expensive, but you can also pick them up in lizard. I personally love the alligator piece, and this is probably one of my most used CDCs. But if you're new to the whole CDC world and you would like to start a collection, I highly recommend that you go for Epsom, because I always talk about this. It's one of my most favorite leathers because I find it to be quite scratch resistant and durable. I mean, you guys can see that these two, especially this one, looks pretty much brand new because I left the protective sticker on this. And as you guys can see, I didn't leave the sticker on this one. So the ring left a mark, and you can even see if you touch the bracelet, it will leave a little mark behind. Whereas on this one, because of the sticker, it pretty much still looks brand new. So these are the CDC bracelets. And one more piece of information in case you're interested and you want to kind of envision what this is going to look like on you. The width of the original CDC bracelet is 4 centimeters. So it measures 4 centimeters from this side to this one. Now let's quickly look at the CDC 24 bracelet, which if you guys want to see how it came packaged, make sure to link my unboxing video up here so you guys can have a closer look. But it came in a different velvet pouch. This one is a drawstring pouch, whereas the other CDCs come in just like a more simple pouch like this. And if I open this up, I have been wearing this and testing this for the past, so I unboxed it last Monday. So it's been a little over a week that I have been wearing this and testing this. And I have to tell you that I absolutely love this bracelet. It's just so incredibly easy to wear. It still makes a fashion statement without being overwhelming. But this is the CDC 24 bracelet. So as you guys can see, it just essentially features the sliding mechanism on the front of it, and it doesn't have any of the Medora pyramids or the ring, which I personally love because I always loved and I always preferred this side of the CDC bracelet. So for me, they have literally created my dream bracelet, because if I could have made one change to the CDC, it would have been to remove this ring, because as I mentioned, it can be quite annoying to wear this, especially if you're in a meeting or if you're on a call and you move your hand a lot. This is going to be quite annoying after a while. And I personally just love the sliding mechanism. I think it's quite edgy, but also really fashion forward. I think it makes a statement without being overwhelming. So I personally love this part, and I always prefer this part. Even if you go back to previous videos of mine where I wore CDC, you always see that I wear this on the top of my wrist, and I usually have this on the inside. So I absolutely love this design. If you are looking for more of a traditional look and you would want to have the ring in your collection, then you might want to go for the original CDC. But I personally love the sliding mechanism. And it is quite a bit thinner than the CDC. I don't actually know the exact width of this, but I would guess it's around 2.5 to 3 centimeters, whereas this one is around 4. But if I put them side by side, you guys can see that maybe it's 2.5. It's around 2.5 centimeters. So it's about half, a little bit over half of the original CDC bracelet. So as I mentioned, this CDC bracelet is in Epsom, whereas my CDC 24 is in Madame Leather. Madame Leather is a relatively new leather to Hermes, and it's sort of if Epsom had a baby with Evercolor, because it's a leather that still has grains and it's quite a sturdy leather, but the grains aren't as pronounced and as textured as Epsom would be. But it's still a leather that I prefer way over Swift or Box because of this graining and this texture and these pebbles. It's going to be less likely to show any kind of signs of tear and wear. So while I still prefer Epsom, I do like Madame, and Madame has a little bit more of a sheen to it than Epsom does. Epsom, I would say, is pretty much completely matte, whereas the Madame leather has a very slight sheen to it. Another difference about the CDC 24 is the fact that the sliding mechanism only has 3 holes, whereas, as I mentioned, the original CDC has 4 holes. So you want to make sure that this fits you really, really well, because if it doesn't, you have much less of a wiggle room to size it for you once you have this bracelet. Because you can still put this on the very first one, it is going to hold it much better here than it would hold it on the CDC if you put it in the first hole. But I would still recommend that you try to put it into the second hole just to make sure that you don't lose yours. So I obviously still have the sticker on here. So let's actually remove this together because I don't need the sticker over this, but I will probably leave the sticker on this for a little bit longer.
Let's take this off together.
So as you guys can see, if I put them side by side, you can see that the one with the sticker is a little bit more matte, whereas the one that I just removed the sticker from is obviously more shiny. But yeah, so this is the CDC 24 bracelet. Now, a couple of things that I noticed when I picked this up is that, first of all, this runs a little bit smaller than the original CDC. So I used to be a standard or a T2 in this. Well, I used to be a standard, or right now I would be a T2 in the CDC bracelet. But in the CDC 24, I had to go up to a T3, which is the largest size that the CDC 24 comes in, because I found that this was a little bit tighter and it definitely ran a little bit smaller than the original CDC does. So you might want to try this on in store in case this is your first time picking this bracelet up, because you might have a CDC, but you'll probably be a larger size in the CDC 24. When it comes to pricing, the CDC 24 is about $400 less expensive than the original CDC. These start at $730 and they go up to $1,650 for the alligator version, because this bracelet has recently launched in alligator. And I actually just saw this last week. I think towards the end of last week that now it's also available in lizard, which is exactly what I had been waiting for before I picked this up, because I told myself I'm not going to buy this until it comes out in lizard, because I don't actually have a lizard bracelet. And I was waiting, it never came. I asked before, they told me that they don't know when it's going to be launching in lizard. I ended up buying this, I think, on a Monday, and on Friday or Saturday, I noticed that it's now also available in lizard. So right now I'm absolutely loving this, and if I continue to wear this, perhaps I'll pick it up in lizard. And the lizard version of this is $1,000 exactly. So this one was $730, whereas the lizard one is exactly $1,000. And then the most expensive version of this is in alligator, which costs $1,650. So the way I would wear the CDC 24 is I would put this on first, and then I would put a Be Happy, preferably a double tour, right next to it. So this is the Be Happy double tour, which I talked about before. It's one of my absolute favorite staples from Hermes. And in case this is your first time watching me or hearing me talk about the Be Happy, I'll make sure to link a video in the info box where I talk about the Be Happy a little bit more and why I love it. But this is personally how I would style my CDC 24. It's a little bit too thin for me by itself, and I think if you have a thicker wrist, I think you might find that this is a little bit too dainty by itself. Although you can absolutely wear it by itself, I did that yesterday and I did still like it, but I definitely prefer more of a stacked look. And this is my favorite piece to stack it with so far. So this is how I would choose to wear it. I would put on my CDC with either a single tour or a double tour Be Happy bracelet. This one happens to be a double tour. And I think this looks just so incredibly cool together. Obviously, if you wear fine jewelry on a daily basis and you like bracelets, you can stack this with your watches. You can put this next to a Love bracelet or a Kelly bracelet from Hermes, whether it's from the fine jewelry collection or the leather collection. I think it's an incredible piece to stack with other things. And in case you want to build your leather jewelry collection, I think the Be Happy and these go incredibly well together. So the original CDC, obviously you can wear this by itself. It's quite a substantial piece, which I don't think you need anything with. This looks amazing by itself. Although I have seen people wearing this with other pieces, I've seen people actually stacking two CDCs right next to each other. But I don't think you really need anything next to this because it's quite a statement piece already by itself. But the way I like to wear my CDC bracelets is that I usually take a Be Happy bracelet that matches the hardware of my CDC. So I usually just take, for this one, I take a silver one. I have one with the brushed finish and I have one with the shiny finish. So I usually just take a Be Happy bracelet and I usually put this above. I try to put it in front of the CDC, but I tend to prefer it this way. Obviously, it's a personal choice. And this is how I would wear my regular CDC. So I still like to stack this with something else. I think it just makes it a little bit more of a statement. It's still beautiful by itself. But if I was to wear this, I would wear it with probably a Be Happy, but most likely with a single tour. With a double tour, I think it would be quite a lot. So I like to just stack it with a simple single tour bracelet. Overall, I'm a huge fan of both CDC bracelets, but if you are just starting your Hermes collection and you only want to pick up one, at the end of the day, my rule of thumb would be go for the CDC if you don't have an extensive fashion jewelry collection and you're looking for your first big investment, then I think this is a really good place to go. But if you have a little bit of a thinner wrist, you feel like the CDC is way too overwhelming and you'd much rather go for something that's smaller and that can be stacked with other pieces in your collection, then go for the CDC 24. But quite frankly, you cannot go wrong with either one. I'm a huge fan of both of these and I'm just so glad that I have both of these in my collection. And this is it, guys. This completes today's video on the CDC designs. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I would love to hear whether you prefer the CDC 24 or the original design. And if you enjoyed this video, then please make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.